was also struck by his looks. His handsome head of black hair was somehow a bit too black. His light eyes were perhaps too steady. His complexion too smooth and delicate, and his cheeks too rosy and healthy.
His eyes were large, blue, and piercing, and there was something gentle but heavy in their look. Something of that strange expression which makes people realize at the first glance that they are dealing with an epileptic.
His teeth were like pearls, and his lips like coral. It sounds like a strikingly beautiful face, but in reality it was repulsive rather than beautiful. His face reminded some people of a mask.
Fyodor called me right after he found out. He wanted me to meet him at the hospital. He was in quite a mood. Sonia had been waiting for him at the apartment. He got back around 2, and she told him the whole story. How she and Dmitri had found out about Sam and met him.
All thanks to me, of course. I mean, I never thought they'd come up with such a stunt. I didn't even know that Sonia was still seeing Dmitri. Anyway, Fyodor was furious with Sonia, me for blabbing to her, and especially with Dmitri.
One thing about Fyodor is he is a total control freak. And for all this to go on behind his back, to him it was unthinkable. I never seen him so angry. At the hospital, it was quite a scene. Sonia was in tears. I think he had hit her. By the time we got there, Sam had already been released, and Dmitri certainly wasn't going to stick around and wait for his dad to show up. There was still a lot of bad blood between them at that point.
I understand you're epileptic. Tell me about the seizure.
Well, most of all, I was embarrassed. I've been having epileptic seizures since I was 14. They never lasted very long and weren't very serious. And that day, meeting my brother and sister for the first time,
well, it wasn't a great first impression. Well, I started feeling better in the ambulance. By the time we got to the hospital, I was fine. They wanted a doctor to look me over, and he treated the cut on my head. But I checked myself out within an hour.
But I had no idea that Sonia would tell Fyodor. It was kind of strange the way that happened. Apparently it was a real mess. I really liked Sonia and Dmitri. I kind of felt guilty. I mean, after all, if I'd just been up front with them, and not gone along with their prank, and if I just played dumb.
After all, if I'd been upfront and honest and not gone through with their prank phone call and played dumb, maybe everything would have worked out for the better.
But as it happened, it just made an awkward situation just worse.
I have to say, though, I do think Fyodor did overreact.
I mean, that night when we got back from the hospital, Fyodor was still livid. I mean, I'm not sure what the big deal was, but for some reason Fyodor didn't want Sam to meet Dmitri. At least not yet.
Then it came out that Sonia had been meeting with Dmitri regularly and even giving him money. Well, it didn't just come out. Fyodor was screaming at Sonia, cross-examining her like it was all her fault. I think now that he was just projecting all the frustration and anger he'd been feeling for Dmitri at her.
But she was crying. She never could stand up to him. Anyway, it got so bad that I finally said something. I told him to calm down and leave the poor girl alone.
After all, there was no real harm done. Sam was fine and everybody seemed to like each other. Well, then he turned on me.
He said, well, he said some very nasty things to me.
I was going to sit there and take it, so I left.
I felt sorry for Sonia.
Why was that?
I felt guilty. Or I partly guilty. I don't know why Fyodor treated her so harshly, but I just decided to just mind my own business. And after all, I had just met these people. I didn't really know them at all. I just met Sonia, and I'd known Fyodor for a couple of weeks.
And there could have been other circumstances that I didn't know about.
The thing that seemed so strange was why Fyodor didn't want Sam and Dmitri to meet. I mean, sure, it's none of my business, we've established. But the more I thought about it, the weirder it seemed.
I mean, the whole thing was strange. Fyodor has this son that no one knows about. Suddenly he shows up, doesn't want money or anything, and Fyodor welcomes him with open arms.
Now, I know Fyodor. Even at his nicest, he wasn't that type of man. Then he freaks out because this other son meets his half-brother and sister, and they all like each other and get along.
I knew that Fyodor had gotten together with Sam once or twice, but he wouldn't say much about it. And he used to tell me everything. Well, at that point, I already felt that Fyodor and I were through. But I was still curious about the whole thing.
I decided to give Dmitri a call. I guess it was kind of tacky having dated his father. But I wanted to find out his take on all this.